And now to Russia. Voters are head to the polls in just 2 days when Vladimir Putin is expected to secure another 6-year term as president. Still, the Russian president is pulling out all the stops as voting soon gets underway. In a ploy to rile up nationalist sentiment, Putin said, and I'm quoting, "From a military point of view, we are ready for nuclear war." Certainly not the first time Putin has presented nuclear war as a real or imaginary threat. Meanwhile, anti-Putin fighters launched an attack on Russia.
Tonight, a special liberation operation was launched by the United Forces of Russian Volunteer Units, the Freedom of Russia Legion, the Russian Volunteer Corps, and the Siberian Battalion. 3 divisions entered the territory of Russia in 2 places, in the Kursk region and in Belgorod region. And in fact, all this is timed to the so-called elections. We, the citizens of Russia, have decided that we have the right and the desire to participate in these elections, and thus we started participating.
Armed fighters who claim to be Russian citizens initiated the attack from Ukrainian territory. They launched the ground offensive in the regions of Belgorod and Kursk in western Russia. Ukraine says these fighters acted independently. Meanwhile, Russia says the armed fighters intended to disrupt the upcoming presidential election. Moscow claims that it was successful in thwarting the attack, killing over 230 intruders and destroying several tanks.
This morning, units of the armed forces of the Russian Federation, together with the units of the Border Service of the Federal Security Service of Russia, thwarted an attempt by the Kiev regime to make a breakthrough into the border territory of the Russian Federation in the Belgorod and Kursk regions. Around 3 a.m., after intense shelling of civilian objects, Ukrainian terrorist formations supported by tanks and armored fighting vehicles attempted to invade Russian territory on 3 fronts.
Now, in response, Putin ordered a massive air assault on Ukraine in a clear message to Kyiv's leadership. Hundreds of cruise missiles hit several cities, including the hometown of Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky. President Zelensky has confirmed that the attack on his hometown left 3 dead civilians with another 38 wounded. Meanwhile, the United States has announced a military package for Ukraine worth over $300 million, in which is much needed relief for Kyiv.
So today, on behalf of President Biden, I'm announcing an emergency package of security assistance of $300 million worth of weapons and equipment to address some of Ukraine's pressing needs. This emergency package that we're announcing contains a large tranche of artillery rounds and gimlers for the Himars. It is assistance that Ukraine desperately needs to hold the line against Russian attacks and to push back against the continuing Russian onslaught in the east and in other parts of Ukraine. This ammunition will keep Ukraine's guns firing for a period, but only a short period. It is nowhere near enough to meet Ukraine's battlefield needs, and it will not prevent Ukraine from running out of ammunition in the weeks to come.
After the announcement by Washington, Russian President Putin warned the U.S. of fanning flames. He also accused the U.S. of meddling in Russia's upcoming presidential elections. With voting on the near horizon, President Vladimir Putin is wooing his base, and he is not holding back on any front. From impeachments to inaugurations, if it's a political story, we are on the scene. The race for the White House is heating up.
We're beating Biden.
How dare he say that?
If it's breaking news, we're live with the latest coverage. From the White House, the State Department, and Capitol Hill, we know the issues, but above all, we know the players to bring you the latest in-depth analysis on all the key stories that we're covering. I'm Eric Ham. Join me from Washington here on Firstpost America.